Okay, we're going to roll right in with New Hampshire Fish and Game K-9 handlers. And our first one up is James Benvenuti, who is handling Canine Cora. And thanks for joining us, James. I really appreciate this. This whole episode's dedicated to Ruby and also the New Hampshire 4-H dog club, since they can't practice training and anything like that. We are doing this podcast to give them some quizzes, give them some knowledge, to give them some working, after 4-H, there's still stuff you can do as a career if you want, or something else to continue dog training. So since we haven't been able to get together as a 4-H dog club and train. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So how long have you and Canine Corps been a team?
We've been a team since about June of, well, she was born in June, so September of 2016. So we're going on 4 years now. It goes by pretty quick. I mean, we started out right from when she was a puppy, picking her out from the litter.
Yeah, so you rolled in, and tell us about that selection.
Cora she was one of four, so it wasn't a big litter to pick from. It kind of made us nervous going into it, hoping there was a dog there, or a puppy, that met what we were looking for. And there isn't a whole lot to look for in a six-week-old puppy, but we were just hoping she was good at a little bit of fetch and some hide and seek at that point. So so when we were introduced to the litter, they all came running out of a walkout basement, and 3 of the puppies came running right up to our legs, which is great. They were social, they wanted to be around people. And the last dog, which was Cora, she came out, and her nose went right to the ground. She started sniffing up around the steps, and she didn't care about us whatsoever. She was just curious. And that carries true to this day. She's sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. She's got a mind of her own. And, that's where she got her start right there.
That's great. And you go in, you play a little fetch, and you just kind of get a feeling for the puppy, huh?
Yeah, it's there's a fancy name it's called the Bullhard puppy test that we put them through, which is basically just a fancy name to see how well they can fetch and play hide and seek. We actually time them. We'll take their favorite toy at the time, and one person will hold the dog or hold the puppy. We'll show them the toy. We'll throw it out in front of them, just out of sight, and we'll time them to see how long they'll look for it, to see if they have that, that drive to find what they want. The ones that look for a few seconds and give up and, then go play with their partners. Yeah, that's maybe not quite what we're looking for. We want the puppy that's got the drive and the motivation to find, what they want. And so we can transition that later in the future.
Yeah. And she really likes to do that right now, right?
Yeah. It's all about finding what motivates them and what drives them. Our dogs are all motivated by just a Kong on a rope, and that's their favorite toy. That's what they live for. That's what they play with. Cora's a little bit different. She's very food motivated, which is different from our other dogs. If she could stand on her head, she would for a piece of kibble, which is great because I can use that to my advantage. And when we have trouble during training and stuff, I'll pull out a special snack in the back of the truck. I'll show it to her, and she's smart enough to figure out that's what she's working for, and you'll see her actually work harder, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, that's really neat. The drive is food on that, and finding that drive when you're training is so key to find what they really, really want. Whether it's the ball, whether it's the praise, whether it's food, and I've found out different dogs do different things, and that's kind of unique to Cora. I think, because I've been around Moxie, and she is certainly play orientated, ball orientated, more than food, I think. Although she likes to do.
Yeah, yep, no doubt. Cora, I mean, she'll take a ball, she'll play Kong all day long, but she looks for the food. When she finds that person at the end of the track or finds that shell casing she's looking for, she's looking in your hand to find that treat first, and then she wants to play. So I guess she gets both. She gets both. So maybe she's spoiled. I don't know.
Right, and that's kind of a unique name, Cora. How'd you come up with that one?
Well, the funny part about it is I didn't actually come up with it. Um, yep, which is even better. So we were, me and actually Bob Mancini and my wife were all sitting around the kitchen table when we went to go pick her out, trying to figure out names. And my wife was actually the one to come up with Cora. Cora stands for Conservation Officer Relief Association, which kind of made me, smack myself on the forehead. Like, how did I not think of that first right off? But so she came up with that right off the bat. And, that's our relief association. That's our, benevolent association. So it's stuck and it's worked.
Right. And it puts it up front. And now everybody that listens to this podcast or sees this podcast is going to know every time they see Cora, it's the New Hampshire Conservation Officer Relief Association. So that we all call Cora. So when we think of your dog, we think of our association. And that's a good segue, I think. That was an awesome, awesome thing to do to make it so much more connected to the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department, officers especially. That was a dynamic name. And you bring an interesting point in. I mean, that when you bring a canine into a home, it's a family decision. So your wife was right there making the decisions with you, right?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Then Lieutenant Eastman, when he approached me and asked me if I had an interest in it, right off the bat, of course I said yes. And I started learning a little bit about it and kind of had to take a step back and talk to the wife and let her know that what all comes into it. I mean, that's just the initial training is 6 weeks away from home, over in Vermont. So it's just that, and our family members end up as basically decoys and search and rescue victims at home to get some training in when we haven't had a lot during the week. And so they're a huge part of it. What my wife goes out and plays in the woods, they have fun with it too. I know she'll actually leave question marks drawn in the dirt trying to figure out which way we went to try to stump her. It's all a big game of hide and seek, and most of the time we win. But
No, that sounds great. So your wife was just right into it from the selection point to the training. So this is definitely a family dog as well as a working dog for the state.
yeah, no doubt. She worked. Her and I work hard together. We train hard together, but we have quality time at home as well. She's not confined to a kennel or a cage or anything by any stretch of the imagination. So she's part of the family when she's home.
Oh, that's great. Do you remember your significant, your biggest, well, I should say your first significant find with her? You tell us about that.
Yeah, it was actually just a couple of weeks after we got certified. Most of the focus we have is on tracking. It's one of the more challenging aspects of handling our dog is tracking. We were called up to District 3, the northwestern part of the state, to track a man who had wandered off. He had Alzheimer's. So we tried to track from the house and tracked for quite a while, and didn't end up working out. It was very slow moving. It was all hard surfaces, which poses other challenges, and we had to call it before we found him. So we transitioned into doing some area searches later in the day. And the very last spot we searched, I'll never forget. It was me, Kevin Bronson, and Josiah Town were walking down this logging road, and Cora was kind of she was beat. I just had her out of the truck with me. I thought more so just to have her with me, and she was so tired. And towards the end of the day, I didn't really have much hope in it. But we were bebopping along down this logging road, and she just starts jumping into this brush that was stacked right up along the road. She couldn't get over it. She's still, she's probably only a year old at that point. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? So I'm trying to call her off of it, and I finally look off into the clearing, and there's the guy. He's got a yellow hard hat on, and he was out in the middle of this clearing stacking brush. He thought he was back working in the woods, 30 years ago. And had Cora not tried to jump that pile and tried to get to him, I don't know if we would have looked that way. I'd like to think we would have saw him, but she definitely clued us in that he was there, and um, I still to this day credit her for that find. Uh, no,
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
you guys are tired after a whole day of searching too, not as sharp as at the beginning of the day. So I could
Yeah,
definitely put myself in your place as you're bebopping and the dog brings your attention. So, and hey, I'm tired, but I'm not down.
that's right. That's right.
No, that's certainly one of the things that is so important to find these people that wander away. And could you tell kind of your procedure too, because a lot of these kids are training their dogs in obedience and conformation too. When you get to the scene, what are you looking for? What do you do, and how do you start that track?
It's, I mean, first and foremost, we try to get a place last seen. Where was that person last seen? And that's the first thing I want to know. The second thing I want to know is how many people have gone to look for that person. Contamination, I think, is our biggest enemy. I'm not so much worried about how old it is. Their noses are so powerful that if it's a clean area, they're gonna pick up what's out of place. And that human odor. What makes it hard for them is when family members, then firefighters, and other police officers, and friends and family go look for this person, which is, you can't fault them for it. It's understandable. You want to
Hmm.
try to find them as quick as you can, but it's a double-edged sword, because if you don't find them and then you want a dog to find them, it creates so much more odor to work through. So every situation's different. We had one last summer of a little kid that ran away from home, and it was good. Everybody stayed out of the woods. The responding officer knew what he needed to do, and they pointed me right in the direction of right where he went in the woods, and Cora had him footstep for footstep, and half hour later he was back home. So when it's a clean area, it works like a charm, but that contamination can really play a big factor in it.
Yeah, and you said something that caught my attention. The dog is looking for the scent that is out of place. So it knows
I,
what's in place, and it's looking for what's out of place, right?
yeah, I mean, if you, the way I imagine it is, if you step into a set of woods, and you know what odors are natural and what you usually smell. Well, she's trained to recognize human odor. So when she gets into an environment that smells like a wooded area, and there's an odor of a person, she's going to go to it.
Mm.
I think she just picks up first what's out of place, and then that recognition comes in of exactly what it is.
And the same thing with an article search. If you send her for an article, she's looking for something that's out of place, correct?
Right. Yep. So she might smell something that, like you say, it's out of place. It could be, it could be a critter, for crying out loud. It could be a squirrel or a chipmunk or a skunk or something. She's going to smell that, investigate it, figure out that's not what she's looking for, and then go find that article that smells like gunpowder or human odor, and then she'll go to it and indicate on it, uh, telling me right where it's at.
But when it comes to your wildlife detection and stuff, that's a specific odor she's looking for, correct?
That's right. So our dogs are trained to find fish, venison, and turkey, and they'll all indicate on those specific odors. So the what we train them to do is, that venison holds a different odor than beef or pork or something,
Mm.
another cut of meat basically. So it's that's what they're trained to indicate on there.
Cool. And you're in your cruiser, and is Cora in the back there? And could you talk about the kind of how they ride? And look at that. Yeah.
Cora,
You got
I can
special.
wake her up.
Yeah,
What's this? What's this?
that's awesome. So they have their own spot in the back there. Oh, that's great.
Did you see her at all? She got her back
Yeah.
to
Well,
it.
she poked her head out, and there she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a little bit
So
of
yeah, she's
attitude
got
to
her.
her, doesn't she, James?
Oh yeah, that's kind of just why
She's like, "Why'd you wake me
she,
up?"
that's right. Yeah, she knows I'm not getting the collars out. She knows I'm not getting the tracking harness ready to go. She's just kind of she's just kind of calm, cool, and collected until it's time to go to work.
Awesome. That's her spot in the back seat basically, and it's all encaged, and so
Yep.
for her
So
protection and
yeah,
others, right?
yeah. The cruisers are outfitted with three quarter three-quarter aluminum kennels. So it's a crew cab pickup. She's got 3/4 of the back seat, or 2/3 of the back seat actually. And that's all encased in aluminum. So if we get into an accident, she's protected. And
Yeah.
the truck's equipped with a heat alarm system, the whole 9 yards. So she's not going to overheat in here on hot summer days either.
So it'll turn on the air conditioner when it's getting too hot for her, and if the air conditioner doesn't work, it sounds off an alarm, so you know it's not working, so it doesn't
Yep.
overheat.
Yep, that's right. It'll actually send an alert to my cell phone telling me it's reached its first stage of heating. So when it hits about 82 degrees, it'll send me a text. It'll kick the truck on, and then if it continues to heat up, or for whatever reason the AC is not working, an alarm will sound. There's an exterior fan that'll kick on and blow outside air in. The horn will honk, and it'll keep sending me alerts to my cell phone too.
Awesome. That's has it ever gone off on you?
Oh yeah, in the middle of the night when I forget to turn it off and when I go home.
So the dog's not even in there, and it's telling you it's
Oh
getting
no.
hot.
Yep, she's upstairs with us, and the alarm on the truck's going off. My neighbor's front lights are coming on. My wife's yelling at me. Yep. But
That's great.
but no, it works like it should just about every day. It's if I'm out checking a fisherman on the beach and it's 90 degrees out, the truck, usually I leave it on anyways. But if I don't, it'll turn itself on, and I don't have to worry about it.
Nice. That's great. And you know what? Just me and Bill touched on it, but it's all volunteer money. Really, it's all donations that generates the K-9 program. And people can donate to the New Hampshire Wildlife Heritage Foundation that goes directly to the K-9s. Then it just blows my mind that we've been able to pull this off. Looking for 4 dogs based on donations. That's awesome. People.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I think we estimate that it's about $2,000 a year per team once they're outfitted. I mean,
Once they're outfitted, yeah.
To outfit a team is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars between the cruiser and the kennel and the heat alarm system and all the equipment and the food and vet bills. It's just, and the support we get for it is just, it's unreal. It blows my mind.
Yeah, well, that's awesome that gets done that way, and it makes it that much more special, I think. So, but thanks for sharing yourself and Cora as a team, and those inside information that you don't always get on TV or anything else, But certainly people can see you actually working Cora on Northwoods Law, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool outlet to be able to kind of show off our skills a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah, the Lassie or the Rin Tin Tin, I keep saying. But thanks again, man. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to share your dog with us, and that's pretty awesome. And
Yeah,
I
thanks,
know that
Wayne.
all the kids that train in 4-H and do dog training growing up, really like this, and I think some of them want to continue on and to maybe be a professional dog handler in the future, which would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's the best job in the world. It really does. It adds to the best job in the world. I should say that.
Yep, that's well put, man. So hopefully we'll get some more 4-H dog handlers in the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department. So thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Wayne.
Cool. Nope, still recording.